I'm about to show you why this GPU from 2016 is so great. So great that I still use this to this day in my own gaming PC. This is the GTX 1060, a GPU from 2016 which ranks as third for the most used GPU according to the Steam hardware and software survey. This was after it lost its top spot, which it held onto for 5 years from 2017 to 2022. This graphics card unexpectedly dominated the market mainly due to its RTX successor and the GPU 2020 inflation which occurred during the time, which let it see out more time in the spotlight. I bought my own Asus Dual GTX 1060 6GB for $215 US back in 2021. It was insanely overpriced for its time and it was not worth it at all, but it was honestly my only option when I was building my first gaming PC. I then later upgraded my platform, but I still decided to keep my GPU, and for two reasons only. I'm not a gamer and I don't have a high resolution, high hertz monitor. The GTX 1060 works just fine for me. So let's jump into some benchmarks of how it actually does perform today. For this system, I'm using an i7-7700K, a Z270 motherboard, 32GB of RAM, and obviously the GTX 1060. I'm going to do this in Fortnite since it's kind of relevant at the moment, and we'll just run through the different modes. So we'll be seeing low, medium, high, and epic settings and how it performs at each individual tier. So we're going to start off and apply our low settings and then jump into a game. We're averaging about 130 frames per second. Maybe around 110, I would say. Let's just call it 110. Next, we'll apply our medium settings. So coming in here, we've seen a drop already, looking around the 70 FPS mark. Moving into 90, I'd probably call the average about 80 altogether. So we'll apply our high settings, and this is where we see the biggest struggle. So we're instantly looking at about 30 frames per second, which is a massive drop. And it later gets a bit better during the later part of the game. We're going about 37, but I would say that 30 is probably the average frames per second for high settings. And that's where the game gets a bit more unplayable and it's not as fluid. And I absolutely choke that. Now we'll move into epic settings, which was very, very unplayable at 1080p. Now dropping in, I honestly just felt super laggy that I couldn't even land properly. It was about 17 frames per second, which was absolutely shocking. So the card is definitely showing some age here. Yeah, so I would call that an average of about maybe 17 frames per second, where the card just starts to struggle. And I'm just I feel like I'm just lagging all the time. I personally like to play at 60 frames per second with VSync on. Since I've got a 60 Hz monitor, I just leave it capped out because there's no point. I leave the quality preset to just sort it out automatically. I find it's not a big deal for me to start off with, and I just find it fine. Now, I understand we're not exactly getting 100 frames per second. This card is definitely showing some age, and it looks like it is on a slow decline out. I won't hide that. It's very true, and I will have to accept that. But I'll tell you why I still find this card perfect for me. My monitor is a basic 1080p 60Hz monitor, very standard. For those of you who don't know, 60 frames per second is the same as 60 Hz in terms of viewing it. Meaning if I was getting 65 frames per second in a game, I would only be able to see 60 Hz, as that's what my monitor allows me to see at a maximum. Since I'm not a hardcore gamer anyway, I don't feel that I personally need a better monitor to be able to see all these, higher resolutions, higher frames, whatever. I don't think I'm ready to cross the upgrade path just yet. This is why I love the GTX 1060, because it's great just for my circumstance. I know I paid $215 for mine, it's an absolute scam, but this one that I'm holding right here, I was actually able to get for $60 US. I picked it up used and I was going to use it in a flip video. You might have seen it in my previous video. And when they're that price, I think they're absolutely fantastic value. For the amount of performance you can get and the upgrade path you can do to a basic desktop computer. That's how I originally started. I had an old desktop computer which I decided to upgrade I added extra RAM, I swapped the power supply, and I got a GTX 1060. Doing these small upgrades just allowed me to get my foot in the door to be able to play some just basic games. Even if it wasn't at the highest quality, I was actually able to play the games. It made an old, obsolete computer actually be able to get the job done. This is why I love the card, because now it's super cheap now to get, and you can actually play some games at some decent enough quality. If you don't care about 4K, 1440p, these cards are absolutely excellent. That's why I still use this card in 2024, and I don't know when I'll upgrade. I'm really not sure. Maybe if I actually get a monitor, then I'll consider it. But for now, for as long as I have this monitor, I'll probably not upgrade my graphics card. It's probably pointless. That has been it for my video. I hope you all like to hear what I had to say about this lovely card. You can all like and subscribe if you would like to, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.